Hola a todos, bienvenidos una semana más. Soy Samuel Jurado, Managing Director de Sabes Sports Consulting, y en este vídeo vengo a explicaros cuáles son los impuestos que tienen que pagar tanto el deportista profesional como la gente cuando hay una transferencia a un club en Inglaterra. Ya sé lo que estáis pensando, cómo es posible que un español vaya a explicar el sistema fiscal del Reino Unido. Pero, como ya sabéis algunos, y si no os lo digo ahora, tenemos oficina en Manchester desde hace bastante tiempo. Y además, no lo voy a explicar yo, sino que lo hará el asesor fiscal de SÍGUENOS, Sabes. Así que si eres deportista, agente o abogado, no te pierdas este vídeo porque te interesa. Empezamos.
Hello Saki, how are you? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm glad to have you among us today.
Thanks for inviting
me. I hope you feel good and you feel good during the chat. Well, Saki is working with us. He's responsible for advising serious clients regarding tax matter. Would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, sure. My name is Saqib Javed. I'm a chartered certified accountant. I work in practice. I've been working for the last 10 years. We provide taxation advice and look after the compliance of our clients. Our clients are limited companies, partnerships, individuals, high net worth clients. We deal with all aspects of taxation, which also includes planning, advising how they can best take the money out from the company, or if they're individuals, how best to do different things to improve their taxation, like make it more efficient, I would say. So all these that comes under the scope of public practice. We provide all these services to our clients.
Summarize as a professional.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so tell us about the financial year in UK, how it works.
Right, so the personal tax year in the UK works from 6th of April to 5th of April every year. And the deadline to file the tax return would be 31st of January the following year. So for example, the last tax year was from 6th of April 2019 to 5th of April 2020, and the deadline to file the tax return was 31st of January 2021. And this current year that is ongoing started from 6th of April 2020 and is going to end on 5th of April 2021. And the deadline to file the tax return would be 31st of January 2022.
So they almost have 1 year to declare everything.
Yeah, almost 1 year to complete all the paperwork, see how much money you've made, different sources of income, and put all the expenses together and see how much tax you would have to pay at the end of the year.
Right. So what's the process like with the HMRC?
So you would have to register with HMRC if you want to file a tax return. So for anybody whose income is over £100,000, we recommend that they should register with HMRC because their tax matters get complicated. The way tax system works is if you're employed, even if you're employed, you are assigned a tax code, and your taxes are deducted on a monthly or a weekly basis. The way, if you get paid weekly, then the tax gets deducted weekly. If it is monthly, then every month the taxes get deducted. But for those people who have more than £100,000 income, it is highly likely that their taxes are not correct, because it's very difficult to predict how much your tax liability is going to be. So your tax code, technically speaking, is incorrect. So when you file a tax return at the end of the year, so you register with HMRC, the HMRC issues you a UTR number, which is a unique tax reference number. Yeah. And with that unique tax reference number, you file a tax return at the end of the year declaring all your income. And if you are due to pay any tax, you pay it by 31st of January. If you are due a refund, HMRC sends the money back to your account.
That's good. So let's analyze potential case with a player who moved from Spain to English club. Okay, so he came to UK last January. So the first criteria, I guess, is the residency. Bearing in mind he came in January, last January, will he be considered residency or not?
Well, with regards to residency, the rule is you're automatically resident if you stayed in the UK for over 183 days. In this player's case, he stayed less than 183 days. He is not automatically resident. So in his case, most likely he will be classed as a non-resident there are also conditions you are automatically non-resident, but I think he falls in between being resident and between automatically non-resident. So, but we would have to go through a test which is called a statutory residence test. It's a flow chart that you have to follow. You have to find out how many ties you've got with the UK, whether you've got home in the UK, family in the UK, how many days then actually you stayed in the UK. But looking at this example case, I think most likely this player would be classed as a non-resident.
Right. So there are a few criteria that HMRC will take into account to consider it as a resident or not. But basically, the 183 days will be the main.
Yeah. In order to, if for somebody who's definitely resident, it's the 183 days rule. So if they stay in the UK for over 183, for example, in the next tax year, they would be classed as a resident.
Right.
Yeah, but for this tax year, we would have to follow the statutory residence test, and my personal assumption is that they would be classed as a non-resident.
I will ask you regarding the difference between non-resident and resident, but we will keep till the end. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, so our player will be considered non-resident.
Mm-hmm.
When he came in January, he signed an employment contract with the club. What tax does he have to pay, and how much will he be considering he has earning £150,000?
So if he signs up in January, he would be paid salary for 3 months, January, February, March, until the year ends. So for the first 3 months, he would be taxed for income tax and national insurance. These are the two taxes that he would have to pay. Now his pay package is going to be about £150,000, so he would be classed as a additional rate taxpayer. He would have to pay actually a mix of all 20%, 40%, and a little bit of 45% as well. So first 50,000 he would pay 20%. From 50,000 to 145,000 he would pay 40%, and above 145,000 he would pay a 45% tax.
Quite a lot.
Yeah, quite a lot. But only the portion that goes over 145, that is 45%. The one between 50,000 to 145, that's 40%. And then obviously below 50,000 is 20% tax to pay. He won't have any personal allowance though, because over £100,000, what happens is your personal allowance slowly starts diminishing. So every £2 you make, your personal allowance of 12,500 just starts disappearing. So every £2 you make, £1 from your personal allowance goes down. So by the time he reaches £26,000, or I would say £25,000, £125,000, his personal allowance would be gone.
So every single worker in UK has a personal allowance?
Yeah.
And not the professional athlete, or just because the income?
It's just because of their income, not because they are professional athletes. Anybody who makes over £100,000, their personal allowance, personal allowance, you don't pay any tax on the first 12,500 here in the UK. But somebody who's making over £100,000, their personal allowance starts dropping, and by the time they reach £125,000, it's completely gone. So they pay 20% tax right from the beginning. So they don't get that leverage of 12,500 tax free, because they are high earners.
They don't need the personal allowance.
They don't need personal allowance. Probably that's the reason.
So professional athletes not only make money for playing, but also they make money just for agreeing to play, also known as sign-on fee, which is a little way. So this kind of amount is charged in a lump sum. Is it considered a salary or not?
Yeah, most likely it is going to be paid via salary and reported via PAYE. So yeah, it is going to be classed as a salary. If not, then they would have to declare it on their personal tax return separately.
And they also agree bonus on their contract if they achieve some goals. For example, if they play certain match, 60% of the match of the league, if they win the league, if they stay in the club until the end of his contract, all these kind of bonus, are they considered a salary as well or not?
Yeah, the bonus again is going to be channeled through the PAYE and paid as a salary, and the taxes are going to be deducted at source.
Alright. Okay, so sometimes we see on the TV the way the player move from one club to another is because the other club pays to this club a buyout clause. But actually the HMRC consider that the buyout clause is going to the player as an income, and then the player pays to the club.
Right.
What's the tax consequence of this?
In this particular case, because the source of the income is UK, so the tax has to be paid here to the UK authorities. So if the income belongs to the player, and the source, as I said, is UK, the player would have to declare it on their tax return that this is their income, and they would have to pay the appropriate amount of tax to HMRC.
So we need to take into account the source. That's the main.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Source of the income. If it is UK, then the taxes have to be paid here in the UK.
Right, Shakil, so we have already seen all the details, I guess, regarding the employment contract. Now we're gonna move on to other aspects of the athlete regarding image right, presidency, Brexit, whatever. So, but we will leave here until the next session.
All right. Thank you very much for inviting me.
See you next session.
Yeah. Cheers.
Y hasta aquí la primera parte del vídeo. En la siguiente hablaremos de derechos de imagen, patrimonio, qué pasa cuando el jugador se convierte en residente y muchas otras cosas. Así que si te ha gustado te recomiendo que te suscribas, que le dejes a la campanita y así te avisaremos cuando lo tengamos listo. Hasta luego.